Sonic X Episode 37. Now for an episode called Robotnik's Revenge. In Fleetway, this was the title of a far more epic story. In this story, it's just a pointless ripoff of SA2. At least it starts out original because we see Scarlet interview an old man about what happened on the Ark. Scarlet has terrible acting when she asks him to tell her, and she's told to leave it alone before she stirs up trouble. Rouge says to Eggman that his boy is goofed for some reason, and asks for the password to the colony to launch a counterattack. Why did Eggman feel like he needed to tell her how to spell Maria? I definitely preferred Rouge's response to tricking him in SA2. This is just a ripoff of SA2 that's inferior. She says that Shadow is sealed off, and wonders who is he. Oh, that's why she was like, it can't be in SA2. She was upset because she couldn't get more info on Shadow. Calls Shadow a fool, and it sure was nice of Shadow to not hurt him and instead say that he'll see. Scarlet says that the guy she's talking to is the only survivor, and even her father was lost. Okay, so Abraham Tower doesn't exist in Sonic X. She tells him that he owes it to the lives of everyone who died on the Ark to tell her the truth. Then some government agents glare at them. Okay, so why isn't Stewart in trouble for fighting against his own government? Why isn't he being fired? Well, the government's not supposed to know about Project Shadow, though, because Eggman deleted the file on it. Scarlet is almost kidnapped and pulled into a car in a pretty tense and dark moment since she's just not able to defend herself like a normal person. And the guy from earlier karate chops to save her. That was pretty awesome. If Scarlet was in danger more often, I would have been more invested in her subplot, because that was the first time I actually cared about it instead of being bored. Knuckles in the space shuttle says he can feel the Master Emerald nearby, so he grabs the wheel to direct the plane to it. That makes more sense. I forgot why I did this in the game. The plane gets damaged and starts falling. This is much better than the game where the characters were all interrupting each other when the plane was crashing. By the way, asteroid fields don't have the asteroids and stuff be that close together. Otherwise, I think they would all crash into each other and form big asteroids like planets. Knuckles then finds the emerald super fast. They really do cut past all of the treasure hunting, but to be fair, that wouldn't make an interesting story. But good, Rouge shows up. So there's something interesting going on. And it does make more sense that he didn't personally shatter the emerald like in the game. But then why did he discover Eggman's base if he wasn't looking for shards of it? Rouge and Knuckles at least exchange a few hits, but it almost immediately moves on to have her fall. You can fly, you idiot! But no, he has to save her. He could have saved her from a robot instead. Knuckles says she almost fell on her head, and Rouge says he was trying to be fresh. I'm shocked they got away with that. And she tells him to just take the Master Emerald. Well, that's extremely out of character for an evil jewel thief. What the fuck happened? Rouge is such a thoroughly incompetent character in the show. Is she supposed to be a comedy character? First Amy and now Rouge. The girl characters really get the short end of the stick in Sonic X. Is there any good female character in the show at all? And I guess Knuckles magically shrinks the emerald or super strength so he can carry it with him. Then Tails, as his plane is walking for him, tells Sonic about the fake emerald, and sadly we don't see him staring at it in awe like in the game because lazy animation. We have to animate as little as possible, which means only showing one character at a time, if we can get away with it. Amy gets grabbed by the crab-like claw of the Eggmobile because being kidnapped is all she's good for. Sonic tells Eggman to give him a minute to think it over before he finally agrees to place the emerald in the center of the circle. I vaguely remember that in the Japanese version, he was complaining that he has to let Amy live. But that's probably not true. How'd they get away with that? Tails offers to give Eggman an emerald, though it's probably a fake one. Sonic is put in a pod and launched anyways, which is much smarter of Eggman than just taking the emerald and releasing him. Tails and Amy shed tears, which is awesome for emotional impact. And it's better of the plot to not show us that Sonic's thinking about warping away with the fake emerald and blatantly spoil that he'll escape right away. Why is Eggman just waiting around for Tails to give him what he wants? Why didn't he just go find him right away? And why did Tails say he won't run away this time, when he never ran away at all? He shoots at Eggman's Eggmobile, which has the obvious advantage over him because it's flying, but no, of course he won't take advantage of that. The old guy tells Scarlet that the soldiers weren't being told the whole story, but didn't have the guts to speak up, so they just went to the Ark and did their jobs. It turns out that this old guy was the one who killed Maria, and he was traumatized for the rest of his life because of it. Thank you, that's realistic consequences to what happened, and it's much more logical to Soldier to feel guilty about this afterwards. Too bad I was already spoiled on this. And Maria's fate was called an accident in the official report, and it's actually pretty sad here. He says that he volunteered to be a soldier because he wanted to get back to the country he loved. And he starts to cry again. It can't be overstated how well written the scene is. Sonic teleports over to Knuckles, and they at least try to balance out the fact that he teleported because he was lying on the ground tired. He didn't show insecurity in the pod about whether he could do this like in the game, because fuck character depth. And sadly, the emerald he's holding was a fake in this adaptation too. You'd think they would have changed that to a real emerald instead of just keeping one of the fans' favorite nitpicks. I mean, Tails did say it had the same properties as the real emerald. I wish that in a padded out anime like this, they showed us Tails sending magic from an emerald into the fake one to make it magical. The scene about Shadow discovering who Rouge really is makes more sense because he overhears her talking Topaz. But it still isn't as enjoyable because it doesn't play the same music. Tails coughs from smoke as we sadly skip past the entire fight between him and Eggman, because this show will go out of its way to not have an action scene. And Eggman gets away no problem. Then Rouge tells Shadow about the prototype Bio-Lizard and says there were 2 capsules ejected from the Ark when it was shut down, and neither of those capsules were ever found. She wonders how Shadow got on Prison Island then, and has a feeling neither of them are who they say they are. I thought only 1 capsule was ejected. That makes no sense. When she says that he's not the real Shadow, she sounds so manipulating because they're acting so stilted. Shadow says that his memories are all he has, even if they aren't real. The scene is so lame because Shadow's theme doesn't play when he's told about the prototype. It's amazing what a difference music can make for a scene. It was sweet that Tanaka hugged Chris and shed tears, and his actor did such a good job sounding worried about him. Then we have a ripoff of when Shadow and Sonic were about to start fighting, which sucked because the trumpet music didn't play. At least we can hear them this time. And we had Sonic stop walking and then start speeding off, which was less lame looking than him transitioning from a walk to run. Shadow constantly throws Chaos Spears, which break pipes and seem to damage the Ark. And Knuckles realizes Sonic's okay because he thinks he must have done that. The robot sidekick says that the Eclipse cannon has been badly damaged and a battery has been hit. So Eggman tells him to fire it anyways and puts an emerald in it. I'm guessing that's the fake emerald and that's why it won't work. It makes a lot more sense this way. After all, it was said that Shadow damaged the cannon. Then Gerald gives his evil speech to the world, and I again have to question how the fuck he got it up to the Ark when he was going to be executed later. The speech was really lame, the acting sucked, and I don't remember the music at all. You just can't measure up to the game cutscene with the atmosphere from its music. It's weird when a video game does dramatic music a lot better. This episode did an inferior job with recreating an engaging cutscene from the game for the most part. But I do love how it tries to make the plot make more sense. Like the Eclipse cannon malfunctioning makes more sense. Shadow damaged the Ark by fighting with Sonic. And Gerald's plan was to have the whole Ark crash into the world, while the Eclipse cannon was just about trying to damage a small part of the world for threatening purposes, and was just a ruse to trick whoever tried to use it into destroying the whole world. And Rouge was much more obviously just being manipulating to Shadow when she lied to him that the 2 capsules ejected from the Ark and were never found, to try to make him think he wasn't real. It was genius of her to try to do that to give him a villainous breakdown. Like maybe that could have made him stop his evil plan, but of course it failed. She's not allowed to be competent. It was pretty good overall. It's just a problem when I legitimately can't remember what happened before the end of the episode, because I'm just remembering the game's cutscenes instead. I know that Tails fought Eggman as Tails Walker, but come on, they cut the whole fight out and barely showed us anything. Well, this is supposed to be an action series with action as the whole focus, so no wonder I didn't think of that right away. Shadow's fight was literally just throwing Chaos Spears and missing, when they could have been original instead of copying the blandest boss fight ever. Really? You're gonna show us that instead? And while I was impressed at Knuckles and Rouge's fight, it didn't last as long as it should have. And Rouge letting Knuckles have his Master Emerald back was extremely out of character for someone who responded to dropping Chris towards the ocean with, "Oh no, he made me drop the Chaos Emeralds." Sure, he saved her life, but she can fly! She's such an idiot in the show. This doesn't help. She's not supposed to be arrogant but incompetent. She's not Antoine. Oh, I almost forgot. After the old guy saves Scarlet from being kidnapped by the government, which is pretty impressive, but makes me wonder why they don't just show up at her house and kidnap her anyways. He reveals that he was the one who shot Maria, and he's been traumatized ever since. That's good writing, at least. Portraying a soldier doing a bad thing because of his job realistically, instead of just him being a monster like in the game in Archie. I hope Shadow never finds out about him, or he'd probably kill him. Well, I can definitely say this arc is better than the SC1 arc, because I typed up my reviews of it all in like one day. And I was constantly putting off reviewing the SC1 arc.